Hello guys, welcome back to GRAZYTV. In today's Unsolved episode, we're going to be talking about the Mashimaro serial killer, and this case still remains one of Korea's top unsolved legendary cases. The details of today's case is a bit chilling, so brace yourselves, and if you can, well, brace yourself and come back. When this case first happened, it was back in 2005, and there was actually absolutely no leads to this case, but 15 years later, and thanks to YouTube, internet, and documentary, we do have a little bit of a lead, so we're going to be talking about that and see what you guys think about the new leads and new clues. And yes, I am loving my dress today. Look at this little tutu dress I have. I have my Gemini necklace and the cute pearl necklace. And you guys know sponsors help out my channel so much, so I want to say thank you to KWON for sponsoring today's video. I've talked about KWON multiple times before, and KWON provides access to vetted psychics and spiritual advisors who provide guidance and insight on life challenges, clarity in love, relationship, career, and so much more. The advisors are available 24/7, so you guys can contact them anytime throughout the day and get a little bit of clarity in my life regarding careers or relationships. They can help you to get monthly intention settings, gain clarities. There's one advisor that I always go to that I really trust, and she's really good with picking up things. If she doesn't pick up any messages from my spiritual guides or any energies around me, she tells me that everything is balanced and everything is fine. She told me that my spiritual guides were saying that I should connect to one specific archangel, which I am going to look into, but she told me that everything was balanced in my life, that there was really nothing going on. Each week, KWON sends its users discounts on reading. It's really affordable, and for new customers, you get to get your first 10 minutes of reading for only $1.99. So if you guys had any questions in your mind and things like that, you guys should just try it out using the code and link down below. And thank you so much to KWON for sponsoring today's video. I'm actually very surprised I didn't do this case earlier, because I've seen this case like all over the internet and Koreans talking about it because it's such a chilling detail. So this case all started in June 7th of 2005 when a garbage man was picking up the trash like usual in the Yangcheongu Sinjangdong area of Korea. This particular trash site, he found something super odd in an odd shape. It was like a really odd long shape with rice bags put together with rope ties. First, I actually thought it was a mannequin because there was a hand sticking out, and obviously who would think that it's a dead body? But soon he found out that yes, it was a real human being. The victim was a female in her 20s who lived around the town. Because the hands were sticking out, police believe this was a very sloppy job, meaning they were very nervous and very quick to do these actions. Her legs were bent, there was also plastic bag around her face, and she did have clothes on. But when they were doing the autopsy, it was a little bit odd because her body was actually kind of cleaned up, like someone cleaned it up with water. Also, they found strap marks around her wrist, bite marks around her chest, and tissues and female hygiene items found inside of her body. The odd thing was that there was no male DNA found inside of her, which obviously might indicate that it was a rape. We don't know that maybe she was just really well cleaned up, or they were just killing people out there out of fun and excitement rather than the intention of being raped. 6 months later, after the first incident, there was another similar case that happened around the same town. Another victim was Miss Lee, who was a housewife in her 40s, and she was found wrapped in picnic mat. Inside the picnic mat, she was wrapped in plastic bag, and also her legs were bent. The autopsy showed that the cause of death was most likely due to compression around her neck. These two cases were very similar, and another chilling detail, you guys. Both victims in the first and second case, their lower abdomens were heavily bleeding. So some kind of trauma also happened in their lower abdomen area, which might also indicate that the reason why the first victim also had tissues and feminine hygiene inside her body was maybe because she was heavily bleeding. Another strange thing was that these victims were found very close to the town of where they were living in. Usually suspects will leave the bodies from afar, like in the mountains, somewhere very not close to where they're living. Police believe that because the first time they weren't caught, that they did this again and thought that they didn't have to leave the body somewhere super far, which is really sad because they didn't get caught the first time, they thought that it was just convenient and easy to get away with. Let's talk about the important clues. In both of the victims, you guys know that there was plastic rope tied. The way it was tied was unique, and professionals believe that you had to work in some kind of packaging or boxing company. And there was also evidence of the rope being cut. I mean, why would someone go an extra mile to cut the rope ties and put it in a special form? Another interesting clue is that both of the cases happened in holidays. So this could also trim down to someone that might work a regular 9-to-5 job. They only found long time to do this in a holiday. And another odd thing was that all these 3 cases actually happened in 6-month frame. One of the major clue, or the only clue that we have right now, is a woman that believes to have been abducted by these men. This case again happened 6 months after the second victim, and it was on a holiday. She was in a taxi, but unfortunately she missed her stop, so she had to walk back to where she was supposed to meet her boyfriend. And unfortunately that town happened to be the Xinjiang area where these murders were happening. All of a sudden she was confronted by a man who poked her with allegedly a knife and said, "Shut up or I'll kill you." She was then blindfolded, and soon after she was taken to some kind of a basement house. She knew it was basement because she felt her going down the stairs, and there's actually a lot of basement housings in Korea, which is attached to usually apartments or villas. When she went inside the basement, she heard the suspect that was holding her say, "I am here." Then she heard a second man's voice inside somewhere in the basement say, "Oh, you're here?" So this indicates that there were 2 suspects involved in this. I believe they let her take a little bit of the blindfold off when she was down in the apartment, and she saw in the room there was another man holding a really long knife. She remembers the man inside of the room telling the suspect that was holding her, "Take care of her." She also remembers a lot of these plastic rope ties that was all around the floor of the basement. They were actually trying to tie her up, but that is when the suspect said, "I'm gonna go to the bathroom, stay here." During that split second when the man went to the bathroom, that moment she knew that she had to leave or she was going to die. She saw that the front door was actually open, so that is when she ran out and bolted out, and she went to the 2nd floor of the villa to hide. Which sounds like literally she was so lucky, because suspects usually never leave the victim alone. They never leave the door open, so the fact that that happened, she was just meant to survive. When she went to the 2nd floor of the villa, that is when she hid behind a shoe cabinet. In this 2nd floor shoe cabinet, she distinctively remembers a Mashimaro sticker that was on it. She also remembers a handmade flower pot that usually you make in kindergarten. So she knew that even kids were living in this whole villa. Next thing that happened is super chilling. When she was hiding, she remembers the 2 men that ran up the basement cursing at each other because they saw that the victim had escaped. She said that they were arguing a little bit, then went back down to the basement, and she waited there for a very long time until she knew she was completely safe. After that, she remembers running out of the villa, and she ran so fast that she doesn't even remember the town or what it looks like. She finally stopped at a nearby elementary school, which is so chilling because there is a serial killer literally living near the elementary school where so many kids are living in that town. Another clue could be because she ran before seeing the big road. This means that she had to came from somewhere behind the elementary school, which indicates that the suspect's house is somewhere around there. Now, this is a little bit of a confusing detail, but she eventually went to the police to report on this case, and she was trying to get the police to take her to that house to try to find these men. But she remembers the police actually just trying to calm her down and not really take the case as fast as she wanted to. She actually described being very offended by the police work, so that is when she didn't really want to help the police out anymore, and she didn't want to remember this case because it was so traumatic. When the documentary crew and the police asked her all these time later if she was willing to help out and try to take her to the house that she remembers, she refused the police and the documentary that she's only willing to talk about it but not bring her back to the house and try to remember all this again. But she does remember the suspect's face. She remembers the suspect of particularly having a very thick eyebrows, almost as if they were filled in with makeup. The man was also around 175 centimeters and he had to be in his mid-30s. Another interesting clue that links the first case to this kidnapping case is that there was actually mold found in Miss KWON's shirt. The test proved that the mold was from another second contact, which can prove that the house she was in during this murder time was from a basement, because basements are usually known to have a lot of mold. And the reason why basements almost all the time have mold is because sunlight does not come through. Also, it could indicate that the house was very filthy and moldy, and probably suspects were living in a filthy house. After this kidnapping case, there was actually no more victims found in Xinjiang area, so no murder happened after this kidnapping case, which might indicate that the suspect maybe moved out or got really freaked out that their kidnapper girl ran away and they didn't want to be found out by the police. But there was one tip that could lead to the possible suspects. A lady said that she used to live around that Xinjiang area, and there was almost a same cabinet with the Mashimaro sticker and the flower pot on top of it, and she says that this was her house. She had a son that was 3 years old at the time, and he loved to put stickers around the shoe cabinets. The woman also remembers 2 men living down in the basement of her villa. She said that the men were around their 30s, and sometimes there was only 1 man living there and sometimes there was 2 men living there. She also said that they moved out before of October 2006, before she gave birth to her second child. Police went to find those men that lived in the basement, and they found one of the men, and they said this is an ongoing investigation, so they can't release this information to the public just yet. So we don't even know if this man was arrested or linked, but I believe as of right now there is no suspect that was arrested still. But when the police interviewed this man that was living under the basement, they found out that the man's mother was working as a paper recycle, and they had many ropes and rice bags in the house. This is not 100% confirming that the tip lady and the lady that was kidnapped are the same houses, but it could be very similar. Another lead came, and this could be very interesting, was a man who worked as a cable TV guy back in 2006. In 2006 of September, he was called to a certain house to cut the cables down in a basement. And in this house, he also remembers he had to go to the second floor villa and he saw a similar cabinet with stickers on it. The reason why they were called to go to this basement was because they were watching free TV. I guess somehow you could watch free TV if you have like cables in the villa. So the cable guy went inside the basement to cut the TV cable, and he saw a lot of plastic ropes all around the floor. He remembers that there were 2 men that was living there. He went under a hypnosis session to try to remember the man's faces. And during this hypnosis session, he said the man has a funny face. He has a very thick makeup drawn eyebrows. So this detail actually matches up with the kidnapper victim's description of the suspect. And here is a drawing of the potential suspect that the cable TV guy was able to put out. A little bit of an update: in 2008, there were 2 men that was arrested. They were actually arrested for sexual assault, and police say it's very uncommon to have 2 people working together as accomplices in the same town or same area. So could these 2 people that was arrested be possibly the suspects? The documentary crew showed the cable TV guy the picture of the 2 men that was arrested for sexual assault, and the TV cable guy says, ooh, one of the men looks very similar to the guy he saw. But of course, the TV cable guy is trying to remember a face over 10 years ago, so maybe he's correct, maybe he's not. In 2018, one of the suspects was released from prison after he served about 10 years, and the second suspect is supposed to be released from prison this year in 2020. The documentary crew went to the suspect's house now that he's been released from prison and interviewed him regarding the Xinjiang serial cases. Of course, the sexual assault suspect said he's not related to the case, that he does not like makeup or putting on makeup on his eyebrows, and he is a scary cat, so he can't kill people. Which is obviously so funny, because if you can go as far as sexually assaulting someone, I believe you're capable of murdering someone as well. The really weird thing was when the documentary crew went to his house, there was a lot of plastic ropes inside the house again. The man claims that it is just toys for his dogs. I don't know about you guys, but who has plastic ropes around their house, like just out there? Like, does he never clean up? I mean, is it a coincidence that these men just have plastic cable ropes around their house? Or do a lot of men do this? I mean, I don't know. Unfortunately, this is still an ongoing case, and 15 years later, there's still no suspects that was arrested for these 3 victims. So I would really love to know, do you think that these 2 victims are related to the kidnapping case? Do you think the kidnapping case is related to the woman who gave the tip about her son living in a villa with Mashimaro stickers? Do you think this cable guy is also remembering the right evidences in his mind, and are they all related, or do you think they're just all coincidences? Thank you guys so much for watching. Remember to leave a comment down below what you guys have thought. Remember to hit the like button and subscribe and hit the notification bell, because I reply to all my early birds. And have a magical day.